Here to give us some insight on the impact this immigration crisis will have on schools is the President and Chief Executive Officer of the National Alliance of Public Charter Schools, Nina Rees. Nina, we welcome you to America's Forum and want to thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Nina, from the 1st of January to the 7th of July, over 30,000 illegal juveniles were sent to various parts of our country. And as we take a look at the map, some of the states experiencing the effects of this surge are some of our largest states: California, Texas, Florida, New York, Virginia, and Georgia. Then from the 7th of July to July 31st, in 24 days, the numbers almost double in Texas and in California and in New York. Hundreds, if not thousands, of children coming in. Nina, how is this influx going to impact public schools?
So, I mean, of course, those numbers are tremendous. And anytime you have a degree of a school, you cause the school to play a very different role than what it's used to playing. So our recommendation to our charter school partners and all schools in general is to welcome these students and to do their best to serve the needs of the students as fast as possible, and understand also that even though they come to the schools with a lot of challenges, these are students who will probably benefit from the stability of an education system, especially an American education system, more so than just about anyone else. So schools are safe havens in this country, and we have a responsibility to make sure that all of our students are getting a good education, and these students should be treated no differently from others.
And of course, it is the law based on that Supreme Court decision. Let me call in from our Newsmax newsroom Javier Manjarres of the Shark Tank political website, as he blogs on matters political. Obviously, Javier, Nina, in her role as an educator dealing with public charter schools, has to follow the law. The law as it stands now is we have to pay for children in public schools regardless of their immigration status. Javier, do you see Congress moving legislatively to counteract what was decided in that Plyler v. Doe case back in 1987?
Well, look, a recent Fox News poll came out. Most Americans now favor immigration reform. They want the Congress to do something now. This is the do-nothing Congress. They want something to happen now. Look, at the end of the day, we're talking about respecting the laws, and again, the law does call for students, whether they're here illegally or legally, to get an education. But again, we have to, like what Rick Perry said, we have to deal with what's going on at the border, and these children should not be coming across the border. I mean, I find it very peculiar that tens of thousands show up in a matter of months on the border, and they already have sponsors in place to bring them in. This was set up by the Obama administration in collusion with Central American governments as well as Mexico. As far as the burden on the education system, what are they going to do? These kids are going to be put into these charter schools and public schools, and without knowing English. So you're going to have to hire so many more ESOL student teachers to teach them the basics. How are these kids going to learn in the next year or so if they don't even know English? Or do we have to translate all the books into Spanish? How's that going to happen?
Well, you point out one of the things, and let's go back to the education angle with Nina Rees. There you are, the National Alliance for Public Charter Schools. As I understand it, in most states, charter schools operate as public schools, though it can be different in different places. But regardless of the status, when you have the real challenge of educating newcomers, we'll use that euphemistic term, who may not speak English, who may not have the proper health screening, who come into a situation that is radically different from what they're accustomed to, this is a huge challenge for educators, regardless of the type of school these children come into. Nina, how do educators handle this? How are you at your national association dealing with it?
So first of all, charter schools are public schools. There is no such thing as a private charter school. So they are public, and they have to accept all the students who come to them. If they have more students than they have slots, they have to conduct think order of business is, to pull in all the resources, all the social service resources available in a community to help the school. Because again, you want schools to just focus on education to the extent there is a need for health screening, and mental health support and so forth. That's where I think the health sector really needs to step in and help the school system. The other thing I should also mention to you is, look, this is a big problem because the numbers are high, but a lot of schools have dealt with these issues over time. So there are some best practices in place from states like Texas in particular, that can be taken to scale. So I would look at those schools that have already had an influx of students for whom English is not a first language and have found ways to bring resources to the table to help them. At the end of the day, though, it is the responsibility of the schools to educate all students regardless of their background and social circumstances. In the case of these students, though, they are coming also with a lot of traumatic experiences. So in that respect, it's not just that they don't speak English, it's also because mentally they're probably in a very different place than most other students are. So we have to take that aspect of it very seriously as well.
And as you raise that topic of psychological counseling, sad to say less than, well, really 30 seconds remains. This is a topic we will continue to scrutinize. Nina Rees, we hope you will come back and join us again from your Association for Public Charter Schools there as you Skype in from Washington. Javier Manjarres, as always, we appreciate your perspective. Thank you both for your time and your analysis of the situation. How do you feel about all this? Why don't you tweet me your comments at Newsmax TV, #America's Forum.